Good evening, Nicholas. How are we going?
Evening, pretty good, pretty good.
Nicholas, let's start out. We just saw your little show reel where you're doing a lot of dancing and singing from a lot of various setups here. How did all that start?
Well, that was all video recorded aboard cruise ships with my work with Celebrity Cruises, which was a lot of fun. So my job on with Celebrity Cruises was as a singer-dancer. So I would, as the name says, sing and dance,
Yep.
either both at the same time or separate. And all those clips were done from different shows. So when you work on the ship, to give the guests variety, instead of you just singing Mariah Carey for 7 days, which, I mean, I'm sure that would get a bit draining for even the biggest Mariah Carey fans. You just kind of try to vary it up with like a rock theme show or a Broadway spectacular, as they would call it. Yeah, so that's just footage of all heaps of different fun stuff.
Awesome. Now, one of my first questions when I heard you were working on a cruise ship, I was like, how did you sort of go with all this Corona stuff when that first happened? Because the first couple of incidents we heard about was these cruise ships that was, these big hubs for the virus. Were you on a ship when that happened?
No, luckily I got home like 2 months before everyone started to go coronavirus. What is this coronavirus thing? Which was pretty great for me. It was just like I don't have to deal with any extra sick guests because, I mean, they just kind of sneeze everywhere anyway. So add on the new disease, you're like kind of scary. So luckily I was home when all the Corona stuff started to happen. Finished my contract in like September.
Wow. Okay. But you, I think sort of going off your, the information you have on your page, I think, did you start in 2017 or something?
Yeah.
So you've been doing for a while.
Yeah, I've been doing, working on cruise ships almost consistently, for like 3 years. I've had like 4 months home total from the start of 2017 to like when my contract finished in 2019. So like this is the longest I've been home for quite a while. Yeah, so I did a total of 4 contracts on 4 different ships during that 3-year period, which is pretty fun. I got to see a lot of the world.
Wow. But how did that start in the first place? Like how did you manage to land that job?
Seeing as we're in Perth, and not a lot of people come over to audition for things. But luckily, I landed an agency spot with Crave Perth Talent Agency, which was a lot of fun. The audition was pretty simple, just like a jazz routine, and then sing us a song. And then she was like, great, we'll take you on. Because it was just starting out as well. So she didn't have any other members of the agency that she needed to keep up or replace or anything. So then we sat down and we had a chat, and she was like, so what do you want to do? And I was like, cruise ships would be fun because musical theatre work-wise, professionally, there's just not the same kind of market in Perth as other places. So I thought, might as well look into other areas of entertainment. So we put together a show reel very similar to that footage, just of me doing various different songs and dance routines, and we sent it off to all these different companies. And then, no joke, within about 16 hours, Celebrity Cruises sent back a reply email to my agent, and they were like, he looks great. Can we please have some more footage? So they sent me some materials to learn from their shows. We put that together, and then a week later I got a contract. Caught up with my agent in Dome, of all places, and we just were chatting away, and she was like, here's the contract. And so then I flew off maybe 2 months afterwards, and it's been one hell of a ride, if I'm being honest. Like, yeah, a lot of growth as a person.
Wow. Yeah, for sure. Wow, that's a really good story. Like, you obviously managed to land something straight away.
Yeah, it was really good.
So what was your thought process, knowing that okay, now I gotta leave Perth behind, I gotta jump on this cruise ship, and I'm gonna be away for how long are you away for per trip?
A lot of different companies have various lengths of contracts. Celebrity is like kind of in the middle. You do 2 months rehearsals in Miami, which is a whole lot of fun in itself. And then you do about anywhere between 5 to 7 months on a ship. Per ship laws, you can only have a contract on a ship up to 11 months total. So they just try to keep it a little bit in the middle with that. So it's a good length.
Wow. So how often do you play? Is that every night?
Again, a lot of different companies do it differently, but with Celebrity, we would have our 3 production shows. So that would be 3 different 45-minute long shows with a theme or a storyline. And then some smaller venue shows, like 10-minute long shows in different venues other than the theatre. And we put those all together over the 2-month period in Miami. We'd spend like 2 weeks on one show and then 2 weeks on the next one, and we just keep smashing them out and then fly straight to the ship. And in terms of how often we do it, it all depends on how long the cruise is. So if you're doing a cruise out of Tampa, say, in Florida, that's like a 4-day, you go out to the ocean, go out and then come back in, you don't really see anything, you would be working pretty much every night. But if you were to do a cruise out of, say, New York up to Quebec City and then back, that's like a 14-day cruise. You would do those 3 shows and venue shows throughout that 14-day cruise. So there's a lot of time where you just kind of sit in your room and go, this is fun. This is my job. Do nothing. But it does give you a lot of time to work on other things, other crafts, or go to the gym, or go to the buffet. I went to the buffet a lot. It was a lot of fun. Free food, always good.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you that as well. So what do you do on a ship when you're not performing? Because I'm assuming it'll be great if you're on a cruise ship for like 2 weeks, if you're as a guest. But if you're there for 11 months,
yeah, like when you're on there for 11 months, it gets to a point where you're like, I get it. Rome is great, but I've seen Rome enough to be like, okay, I'll just stay on the ship today. Every cabin has a TV, and they have like the usual kind of TV stuff that a guest would have. But once you've seen all the movies on there, it gets boring. So a lot of people do bring their own entertainment on the ship. Like a bunch of friends bring like a Switch or a PS4 or Xbox or whatever, and they'll just plug it in and they'll play it. Or people just hang out, read books. I had quite a few friends actually decide to learn the ukulele on the ship. Because It's a very small instrument. They're like, what am I going to do? Learn the ukulele. But there's lots of stuff to do.
So try and run me through like a standard day when you're on the ship. So from when you wake up till you go to bed. Okay.
Well, of course, that all depends on whether or not it's a show day. If it's a show day, say you wake up at, on average, like maybe 8 in the morning. You wake up at 8. You get ready and dressed for like a rehearsal. So you go to the theater, you sit down, and you have your dance captain and your vocal captain. And they've both viewed footage of that show that you're doing that day, the previous night, to take notes. To say, for example, Nicolas fell out of his turn. Don't do that again. They're just small things like that. Someone hit a wrong note. We need to fix the harmony. So they'll just sit us all down. They'll run us through these notes. We have to take them down and make sure that in that show that night we have to fix those, because we can actually get in trouble if we don't. But that's just life. And then we warm up, and then we do a tech run of the show. No costumes, but with lighting, sounds, full out, just to make sure that on the production side, as well as for our memories, the show is running well. Because we may have done that show 14 days ago. So we may have had like 14 days to forget the show, as well as the production team needs that show in the morning to change all the systems over from the show they did the night before. So say we're doing like, I'll say a country show, so all that kind of stuff with a band. But the show before was a magician. doing card tricks and having different cameras and everything. So they have to completely set the stage for the next show. So we do that, and then once we've done the rehearsals, we just kind of wait around until the show, and then we turn up an hour before the show. We do makeup, we put our costumes on, and we just get ready, run the show, hour break, run the show again, go to bed. So it's
and then next day repeat.
Well, that all depends if that's a show day or not. If that's not a show day and we're in, say, Barbados, for example, you betcha I'm putting my boardies on and I'm going to the beach, because that's just fun.
But you've been doing this for the good part of 3 years.
Yeah. So I graduated from APAN Academy, which is what was up in Malaga. It's moved to Morley now. So it's like a TAFE level, like dance training academy. Got my advanced diploma in musical theatre there. Graduated, jumped straight with my agency, and then jumped straight on the ship. So I didn't really have time to think about what am I going to do. I've graduated now, so.
Wow, yeah, that's pretty lucky then. That's fantastic.
No, I definitely was pretty lucky. So I still have a few friends here who've been like, still can't get anything, but I mean, it'll happen for everyone eventually if you keep trying.
Have you done anything in Perth as well? Yes.
While I was training, we did a bunch of musicals. We did Grease, Fame. What else? They're on my wall. We did some musicals in concert. We did some fringe shows. It was heaps of fun. But when I was away for the whole time on ships, I didn't really have the time to do shows here in Perth. But once I came home, I actually managed to do 2 shows before COVID hit, which is really great.
Oh, wicked! Which ones were they?
So we had Heathers, which was done for the Perth Fringe Festival, which got sold out before we even finished blocking the show. We were halfway through a rehearsal blocking it, and the producer comes in and she's like, "Guys, just letting you know, don't stress out, but we've sold out, and I hope the show's good." We're all like, we don't know our lines yet. But that show went really well, and because Heathers is like a cult classic kind of musical, because it's based on a cult classic of a movie, so everyone's just going to go and watch it regardless. And after that, I did Pirates of Penzance, which was like a complete switch up of genres. You go from like, grungy, some kid's going to blow up the school kind of musical to I'm a pirate and I'm here to save the ladies kind of thing. Just a super fun show we did with Platinum Entertainment. Cash, actually, who you had on here as well, he was in that. He was playing the guitar and rocking that little pirate hat, which was kind of funny to see.
Awesome.
But that show actually was the last thing I did before COVID, before WA was like, all right, stay in your houses. We got halfway through our season, and then the second week got cancelled because the venues all just shut down, and we were like, oh, great.
Right. So what did you get up to during lockdown then?
Luckily, once I came home after my last contract, because I wanted to spend a bit more time home rather than just 2 months, because that's a bit short to just spend time at home, because I've missed my brothers growing up and missed my little dogs. So needed some more time at home. So I was like, what do I do at home? Because I'll be doing shows and small like gigs at Crown Casino during that time, but I want to have like something a bit more of a hobby rather than just playing video games all day. So I went out and got for Christmas like a Scarlett Pro starter pack thing, which came with like the Scarlett Sound rectangle thingamajig, and a mic and a subscription for Pro Tools. So I got that, and I installed it and everything, and I was like, cool, what do I do now? So I watched a bunch of tutorials and made some really, really bad songs, and that's been a lot of fun whilst COVID happened, because we were just sitting at home being, what do we do? So I just put some random beats on and played some random chords and mucked around a bit. That's been a lot of fun. It's just this whole thing is just a waiting game, because I can't physically go out and like be like, okay, I'm going to perform on a stage. What stage? They're all closed. So
yeah.
Matter of wait.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a crazy ride, but we obviously are very fortunate to be in Perth compared to
Definitely not Victoria. Don't want to be there.
yeah, or overseas. Even there's a lot of funny stuff happening.
Yeah,
um,
my friends. Oh, you go.
no, I was about to say, but yeah, we'll actually we'll get back to your music a little bit later because we're going to finish off with one of the Pro Tools songs that you did during lockdown. But look, I'm curious to sort of try and maybe take it back to the early days. Like, how did all this start? Like how did you start dancing and singing and all that?
Well, back in the day when I was a small child in primary school, I had this friend, Alan. And we, friends at school, you do the usual thing, play chasing, whatever. And then his mum went to my mum, and she was like, "So Alan started this musical theatre class, and he's kind of doesn't want to do it by himself. Do you think Nicholas would want to come and join in?" And that's how we are here today, having this chat. It was pretty much just my mum was like, "Go have fun, enjoy the class." We sat down. I can remember the first thing we ever did was we sat down in this big, it's like a factory storage building is what most dance studios take, because there's a big open space. You just chuck down some sprung wooden floors. You just dance away. They had that. They had a wooden catwalk at the back, and Alan and myself sat at the back, and they gave us sheet music to what was it? It was one of those country musicals. I think it was Calamity Jane or Annie Get Your Gun or something like that. But it was really funny just sitting there with the lyrics on a page and just singing along, being like, "I don't know what I'm doing," and then they put our tap shoes on, and we're both like, we don't know what we're doing. Just hitting the floor, jazz shoes, trying to kick a leg. Oh, that day was stressful, but it was a lot of fun. It's a big change from everything that I did before, which was little athletics and football, and did gymnastics for a bit, but they just taught me how to do a star jump, and that was it. So then I was at that dance school for 9 years, and in between that time I also went to John Kurt down in Fremantle. Went there for drama, and then I did musical theatre there as well as dance, and then went to APAD.
So
that's all the training stuff.
So how old were you when you? I think I missed that. How old were you when you went to that first class with the tapping shoes?
I was 9 years old, which compared to a lot of my friends, that's not as young. My youngest brother, for example, started when he was 2, and I'm pretty sure he was still in nappies. And we've got so many photos of him. He was I don't know, this big or whatever. Okay, not actually this big, but he was tiny in this little king outfit, and he's got all the little girls on him, and it's just he's staying in this industry forever just because of that. Is
he still dancing?
Yeah. So I'm one of 4. The second eldest doesn't dance anymore. He does a trade. He's a machinist. Smart boy, making all the money. And then there's the third child. He's training at APAN as well. Wants to become a music theatre performer like myself. And Sebastian is in year 12, also wanting to be a musical theatre performer. So I think I've had a bit of a effect on these on my brothers in terms of what they want to do with their lives.
Well, I suppose they usually, you'd look up to your older brother. So I suppose if you've made a big impression on them, they probably want to follow your footsteps.
Yeah. Hopefully they made the right decision.
For sure. But I'm curious, what was it? So when you went there when you were 9 years old and you sat there, what was it that was so special, so magical about it? Because obviously it must have been a massive day if you're saying that you've never looked back, and that's just what you had to do since.
It's kind of hard to put a finger on what exactly it was about starting performing that really got me hooked. It was just a matter of it felt right. You know what I mean? I'd always remember when I was a young child, and Dad would put his CDs in the stereo. That's the one. We don't use those anymore. Music in the stereo, jam launches of Jamiroquai, anything like that. No, I'd always be dancing right in front of it too, this far away. That's probably why I probably have really bad hearing when I'm older. But I just always remember things like that, and starting that class and doing that with other people, not just, you know, in the house, in your room or whatever. It just felt like what I should be doing. And it felt really good. For the first time doing an extracurricular activity, it felt good. Like, little athletics was fun, you know, run in a straight line, but I was just like, didn't feel right. So, it's just a matter of it feeling right.
So how did it progress from there? Because you said, like, I think you mentioned before you were dancing for was it 7 years or something, and then you went on to the academy.
Yeah. So when I started dancing at that dance school, MSJ Productions in O'Connor, it was fun, and then something that really had me wanting to do it more and more, like the performance aspect of it, was when we started to do dance comps. So everyone would learn solos or duos, trios, or group numbers, and we'd all go to a small theater and we'd compete against other dance studios. And you get medals like 4th, 5th, 1st, 2nd, all of that kind of stuff, and you get a rank, like a mark and all that. And that was really, like, the competition aspect of it I really enjoyed while I was young. Not so much anymore. I'm just like, I just want to do it. But that was like a big, it was a moment where I really realized that as a dancer, as a performer, I can't keep my head as high as everyone else. I can't turn as much. I can't do this or that. So I've got to figure out what I can do that they cannot to be able to make my mark in this dance competition environment. So I started working with my dance teacher on my solos and stuff, and trying to create different moves and ways of dancing that nobody else was doing, just so I could get the marks of uniqueness and being an individual, rather than, oh, he can kick his leg all the way up here and hold it, tilt over. Because that's really hard. So I started to develop the style of incorporating, you know, all the, like, this kind of waving and all that. Just brought that into all the different other dance styles. That was really cool. And, you know, with the music side of it, like singing, I've really, really enjoyed song and dance solos. Because a lot of people at dance comps, they would sing, then they would dance, then they would sing, then they would dance. But I really, really like the challenge of singing and dancing at the same time, because it requires a completely different breathing technique from singing to dancing. Yeah, because with dancing, right, you've got to contract your abdominals and hold everything really strong, so you don't, you know, when you land from a jump, throw your back out, injure yourself. But with singing, you've got to be nice and relaxed, and you really breathe through and fill your lungs out, and that's just a completely different way of holding even just your torso. So it was a really fun challenge to figure out how to be bouncing around on stage as well as singing like crazy fun notes and all that kind of stuff.
So how again, if you like, obviously if you took a lot of dance lessons and stuff, I'm assuming you'd also have had singing lessons, because you're quite a good singer when you listen to those clips. So how did you manage to sort of do both? Because obviously I'm assuming both would be quite time consuming.
Yeah,
a lot of practice.
Yeah, luckily when I started with a musical theatre class, so I started with both dancing and singing at the same time. It wasn't. I have a lot of friends who they danced, and then at 14 they decided maybe I should learn how to sing, or the other way around. Like, I have a lot of singer friends who only really started to try to improve their dancing later on in life, and dancing's pretty hard to. I mean, singing as well. Anything's pretty hard to do later on because your brain isn't as much of a sponge. But yeah, it was. Most dance schools are really focused on dance, hence the name dance school. But luckily, when I went to MSJ, they were really, really into trying to balance it out. So pretty much half the classes were singing stuff and half the classes were dancing, which is great. And when I went to John Curtin and we did the musical theatre classes, that was very vocal heavy, because a lot of the kids in those classes were actors and singers. So we'd all just be singing stuff and acting a lot of the time and not really focusing on the dance aspect. So it was really I was luckily, it all just got balanced out for me in the ways that, in the places that I went to. It all just kind of worked. And then when I went to APAN and I was doing musical theatre, it really was structured in a way to improve everything equally. And I would say that, I mean, the singing you've heard in those clips, that's all really my growth from working with celebrity cruises. Because when you have someone standing basically behind your back saying, if you don't sing this good, you are going home, and going home includes like a almost 30-hour flight, you really want to get the songs right, hit those notes and everything. So I spent a lot of my time in those rehearsals and because they set us up in like this little apartment suite next to the rehearsal studio. I just spent a lot of the time just working on the vocals to try and make them as good as possible and really improve on it. Because when I went, when I flew to Miami, I was working with people from all over the planet, like people from America, England, Croatia, Russia, so many like awesome countries. And it's just going from this bubble that we have in Perth, because it's just isolated and it just naturally has a bubble. It's not like Perth's like, go away, everyone else. Just right. And working with all these people from other places has just been so great to be like, especially the ones from America, because their musical theatre scene is so much bigger than ours. It's enormous. I mean, they have Broadway is just one part, and like pretty much every state has like a touring musical theatre company doing shows, paying the professionals, everything. And working with those people and seeing that the level that they sing at, I really had to like, what's the term, pull up my bootstraps and start working really hard on my vocals and improving it. And just, it really helped my vocals. It's just working, because there's only so much you can do in a training environment before you need to start just going out on stage and singing and doing that for months. And that's really how you start growing.
It sounds to me like it must have been a bit stressful if you actually knew that, if you're not doing a good job, you're out. Was that really how it was?
Yeah, it was. The person that we had that casted me, and who was in charge of casting whilst I was there. She was a very very strong person, very strong woman, and she was basically blunt. Like, if you don't meet her standards, she's like, just fly home. I'll find someone else, which she does, because she's really great at finding talent. But it was just kind of scary to be in like the apartment complex and look at someone at the front desk and know for a fact that they just got fired. You're like, you're leaving a bit earlier than you should be. Okay, I'm just going to go to my room and practice some more now. But having that was really great to really work really hard.
Well, I suppose, I suppose it gives you a pretty good work ethics.
Yeah. A really great reason to work, other than, getting paid and being able to sing and dance around the world. The fact of not being fired is a good incentive.
Oh, for sure. I could imagine. I've written down here while you were talking before, in regards to be like being an entertainer. So at what age did you sort of think that I think this is going to be my path in life? Because there's a big difference between being 9 and going to a school and discover tap dancing and then finding out after multiple years and say, hey, I think I'm onto something here. Do you recall a certain period where you sort of said, hey, I think this is my calling?
Definitely. I would have to say it would be the second half of high school, so probably like the last part of year 10 to year 12, when everyone was starting to go out and party and hang out on the weekends, and I was at rehearsals at school learning my lines and routines for shows. I didn't go to schoolies. Instead, I did a ballet. So I was like, if I'm investing myself and my time into something like this instead of that kind of fun, then obviously this is what I want to do. So it was really that last half of high school where I was like, I have to do this as a career, otherwise I will be really throwing away a big part of myself that is important.
So do you feel like you've sacrificed a lot, or does it just feel like a normal part of like it was just normal because I'm on this path now? So if I have to sort of like you said, you didn't go to parties and stuff, like are you happy that you've chosen this path and given up on some other stuff?
Oh, absolutely, because like that party, like say James's 16th or whatever, that happens once, but this career is the rest of my life. So there's no point thinking about those small things that I had in that small part of my life, which is high school. No point worrying about what I missed then. It's much better to just be thinking about the career that I have now, due to the fact that I tried so hard and really wanted it back then.
Yeah. Wow, that's it makes perfect sense. It's a very mature way of thinking at a very young age, which is pretty cool.
Plus, I was one of those kids who was like, I don't want to drink alcohol. Alcohol's for weirdos. And then you work on a cruise ship and you find out that a Jack and Coke is like $1.50, and you're like, it's basically free. So,
and it probably helps you. And it probably helps you sort of get rid of cabin fever, I suppose.
Just chilling in some bar for a bit, being like, I'm done with my tiny room. I'm going to sit with some strangers and drink. It's going to be fun.
Strangers from all over the world, man. You must have made a lot of friends, like from any port you go to, pretty much.
Mm.
Have you
ever heard of the island? Sorry.
No, I was now I lost it as well. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, have you ever heard of the island Trinidad?
I have, yes.
Well, there was this guy that was on the crew backstage. He was from Trinidad. Him and his mate, they're both on the crew, and they were so much fun, just so loud. And they just had these like, so you know how Australia has their little like quotes and sayings like, oh, g'day mate, and all things like that. Their things were so funny. Just the kinds of things that they were saying, just everyone's cultures all clashing, and not in a bad way at all. Just like someone would say something that is common, right, in their country. Like I'd say some stupid Australian slang, and everyone would be like, what? And then I'd have to sit there and explain it and feel like an idiot. So like, everyone back home knows what this is, but nobody on this ship has any idea what I'm saying, which is also why I learned how to really articulate my words, because on my first contract, I would say a whole sentence and my whole cast would go, what did you just say? Because obviously I'll be slurring my words, because I just assume everyone just understands Australian. It's not that hard to learn.
Fair enough. Yeah, and I suppose again, like sort of with English being the common language for everybody, if you're saying they're from all over the world, like I'm so sure there'd be a lot of language barriers.
Well, because the company is American, they require for English to be their second or a third language. As long as they can speak and understand English, they can work on the ships, because most guests will speak English, and it's hard to be like, I want that on my dinner, and someone be like, I don't know English. So most, pretty much all the crew members know English. So we all pretty much speak English in the crew hangout areas. But if people are within like their groups, like a group of mates from Greece or whatever work on the same ship, they'll sit in their area and speak in Greek, or a bunch of people from the Philippines just chatting away. And it's great, just like sitting there and just listening to all these languages and conversations. And you can, rather than being able to listen to the words that they say, you can listen to the way that they say it, and when they laugh, you can be like, obviously someone just told a joke. It's just great to have that feeling and get the vibe of the room without having any idea what people are saying at all. It's kind of surreal, rather than being like, oh, they laughed at that joke, oh, that's funny.
Yeah. I could imagine. Yeah, there would be an enormous amount of languages sort of pile into one small space there. Have you got? Is there any sort of like really fun stories that sort of comes to mind from being on the ship? Because I'm assuming you would have had a ton of pretty fun stories if you've been here, if you've been for that long.
Are you asking for performance-based stories or something to do with
I am.
not?
I'm just curious if there's something that sort of, it could be like something that stands out as a really good memory, for instance. So it could be anything. It could be camaraderie. It could be performance related, or it could be like a fun guest or something. Maybe that was there, if there was some interaction with the audience or something. Because all I'm thinking, I'm just trying to imagine being on this ship for 2.5 years. It's insane just for me to think about it. I've never been on a cruise. So let me start out by saying that. And I think for me to go on a cruise for 2 weeks, I think at the end of it, I would be a little bit probably not claustrophobic or anything, but I'd be like, yeah, okay, I think I'm done with the ship. I think.
You would be exhausted by the end of it, because just watching the guests, right? So they get on the ship and they're all tired after their flights, and then they have their welcoming drinks or whatever, and then they have dinner, and they're like, all right, I'm going to go to bed and get ready and fresh for the next day. Pretty much all the tours that you would do off a ship start at 6 a.m., 7 a.m. in the morning. And you'll be nice and fresh for the first one on the second day, right? But that night you'll be like, all right, it's a great day. Let's go have a drink to the bar, because they're making pretty strong on the ships. So everyone will be 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and they'll be like, oh, God, I got to get ready for my tour at 6 a.m. the next day. So pretty much every day they have a tour. So by the end of the cruise, they are absolutely zonked out. It's really funny to watch the change between the ones coming on and the ones going off. The ones going off are just like, ugh, dying. And the ones going like, let's go! It's really funny contrast between the two. But a story, okay, let me think. There's quite a few, and some of them are not the most appropriate stories, I'll have to admit.
That's fine too.
Right.
Yeah, go for it.
So, you know how in America 21sts are pretty big, as that's the legal age to drink. Well, working for an American company, the legal age to drink for crew members is 21. So I go from being 20 at home, being able to drink for 2 years, and then hopping onto a ship and then being like, sorry, you're a child again. It was really strange. But about halfway through the contract, I turned 21. And I turned 21 in Bermuda, of all places, which is great. It's a really gorgeous island, by the way. It's beautiful. Highly recommend. But that night, every member of my cast bought me a drink. And the cast was about 15 people. So I had to drink 15 drinks in the space of an hour, which was great fun. And then we were like, all right. So we're in Bermuda. It's a 3-day overnight. So we got there one day, and then there was a day, and then we left on the other day. And it was in the first night. And we didn't have a show on the next day, so it was like we have all night to do whatever we want. And we're like, okay, we're gonna go dance downstairs, and then we go off, and then we go to the bar and the beach. We're gonna have so much fun. We get downstairs, and then the alcohol hits me, and then there's photos of me hugging the poles. And I'm getting carried back to my friend's room at 11:30. Don't even make it to midnight. And that is how my 21st went, and it was kind of sad.
So 15 drinks in 1 hour.
Yep.
And that's after not drinking for 6 months.
Yeah. It's a bit like, surprise, alcohol again.
Oh, man, yeah. That would have taken a while to recover, I guess.
Yeah, I slept the whole day. It was great.
And so what do you do? So on your days off, so then you got a whole day at the island. So you can just roam free, just do whatever you want?
Yeah, a lot of the time, crew members can jump on the back of the guest tours. They can be an escort, so they don't have to pay for the tour at all, but they're just in charge of making sure that all the crew members, all the guests, are together and they haven't lost a guest, and they just stand at the back and they watch out for things and they help guests with stuff, but they get to go on a tour for free. Or a lot of the time, crew members just hop off the ship, find the nearest cafe, and download stuff on their phones or their laptops, because internet on the ships is very, very expensive. We have to pay 19 US cents a minute, and the internet is not very good. So you'll be spending 5 minutes just waiting for the internet to load up. And you've already spent like what, almost $1 just waiting for the internet to load.
Yeah.
Wow. For other, like, going out, just a lot of the time you'll just go on Google and just check the port you're in, like say Santorini or Mykonos, and you'd be like clubs in Santorini, clubs in Mykonos, because a lot of the time the crew members just go there, just like a beach club, just like get drinks and just chill out on a beach chair or whatever, because we've had a show the night before, so we're a bit tired and we just want to relax and have a cheeky drink on the beach. It's always a nice thing.
Tough life.
But a lot of the time we have sea days, so we can't get off the ship at all because we're at sea. So that it would be like our gym days. So we go spend 3 hours at the gym just trying to burn off the buffet food from the night before. Wow. Yeah, it's really a matter of getting yourself into a routine of the fitness and the fun and the work.
Yeah, I could imagine. Yeah, it's just thinking about everything you said. Like, it sounds like such a different lifestyle to it's very hard to imagine how it would be to sort of be in it. Look, I've got another here just to try to come back to your profession as such. Yeah. How did in regards to sort of your influences, like how do you sort of get inspired? Like, and this could be both with regards to your dancing and your singing. Have you got any sort of people that you look up to? Any performance?
We'll start with singing wise first.
Yep.
Because I wrote some things down about that one.
Okay.
When I was younger, one of my song and dance solos was Mac the Knife, and it was the Robbie Williams cover. And that was a lot of fun. And it was from that point where I started to listen to a lot of his music and the way that he sung, and the way that he had albums of different styles. That was from his swing music album, which was a lot of fun. And then I listened to his other music, which was more pop or more rock, or like Let Me Entertain You is always like the moment my voice broke is when I went from being able to belt out Beat It by Michael Jackson to not being able to do anything close to that. And it was right after that point where I heard the song Let Me Entertain You, and I was just like, that is such a epic song, and it would be so great to just stand there on stage and just have the smoke or flames or whatever behind you and just belting it out, just dancing and do all this kind of crazy stuff. So he was a really great inspiration for me as a singer as well as a performer, because I went and saw one of his concerts. It was the Swing Both Ways tour, which was a lot of fun. It was a lot of the same swing music, but a lot of his standards. And it was really great to see him perform. And the way that he interacted, and he wasn't just a singer that stands there and sings a song and goes, yeah, and then the crowd goes crazy. He's working his absolute butt off, and you can see on the big screen that sweat's dripping down his face, and he's going and high-fiving all the what are they called, patrons, watchers, viewers, people at the arena. It's just great to see him really, really work, and that was really inspiring to be like. To get that kind of reaction from the audience, you've obviously just got to put your all into it. He was a really great inspiration in that regard.
Yep. He's a top performer, and still is really. He's a really funny guy as well. Like, I love watching his interviews as well. But so again, really diverse vocals as well. Like, he sings pop, he sings rock, he sings jazz or swing music as well.
Yeah.
So what is it sort of like specific that you thought that you could sort of resonate with in regards to your own singing techniques?
I think it was the the rawness of it, because he didn't have a pop sound. Like, he didn't have the really, like the clean, easy sounding vocals that a lot of the guys had at that time. He just had, like, he was a man and he sang his songs. Sounded like he smoked a couple of cigars or something before he went on stage, and he just had the really, it was raw, and that's what I really, really liked about his voice. And I tried to emulate that, but that's just not the way my voice is built. But I guess it was nice to hear someone sing in their voice, in their way, rather than trying to fit the narrative of whatever popular music was doing at that time. It was just nice, because it was very different to the other music that I was listening to at that time, which was starting to get to like dubstep and all that kind of loud music.
So what were you listening to?
What was I listening to back then?
Yeah.
Oh God.
If you're saying it was very different.
I think it was like Black Eyed Peas and all like that kind of.
Right. More club music.
It was very pop, because I mean, it's the most accessible kind of music, and back then I wasn't really like searching into like all these different music genres and stuff and really trying to expand my horizons. But he just kind of appeared out of nowhere. I was like, oh, he's different. I really like the way he sounds. Cool. I guess was really with him, yeah.
So would you, if you were to sort of go with sort of either or, like, I know this is obviously not you having to make a peak between dancing and singing, but could you see yourself sort of focusing more on one part of that in the future? Like, would you rather be on a big stage and being Robbie Williams performing to a big crowd, or would you rather be, you know, a dancer in a big show on Broadway or something?
I would definitely have to go with the singing, because I've decided a while ago that longevity wise as a career there's a lot more years on it than a dancer, because you will notice that when you watch a show, how many of the dancers are like over the age of 40, for example, backup dancing singers and that, because it just, dancing takes such a toll on your body, and it can take one accident in your career, like one fall and landing on your ankle wrong, to just end your career there. So I really, in recent years, have really tried to invest more into the vocals and the acting side of my career, just to safeguard how long I can do it for, rather than being a dancer and then getting to like, I don't know, mid-30s, 40s, and being like, all right, I'm going to have to transition into choreography or teaching.
Okay.
So I can really, So singing.
Yeah, cool. So would that be singing as a soloist? Would that be like you as an artist, or would that still be in a sort of theater context where you are like a backing singer or something?
I don't know. Yeah, I think I want to really, really see where my career takes me. Because at the moment it's really leaning towards doing musicals in big theaters is really where I want to go with that. Like, my big end goal is to be like the lead character in a brand new musical that really hits off, and everyone's like got downloaded the playlist on Spotify and they're listening to me belting out whatever the lead solo is, and then being like, oh, I really want to be like that. What I really, really want to be is an inspiration to the next generation of performers. Like, be that kind of entertainer, that kind of entertainer and person that the next generation really looks up to and goes, wow, that's where I want to see myself, you know? Like, because
that's huge.
We have people like that, so why not aim to inspire? Yeah.
Wow, that's huge. Just wrote that down. That's it's a massive goal to have, but man, yeah, you gotta aim high. I was just thinking again, like when you're saying like you wanted to be in a big musical, like, you know, our mutual friend Cachette, you know, he's currently working on his rock opera, or not rock opera, but his Holocaust opera. Have you had a chat to him?
See, I auditioned for that, but I didn't fit the role of a middle-aged man, so
Fair
it was
enough.
a bit hard. That's totally fine. I was like, look, as long as I get to go to that preview, I do not care. I want to see this musical. I want to listen to this music, because when we were in the audition, it was over his place, and he just played the songs and the melody, and he was like, listen to this a couple of times and sing it. And luckily, I actually managed to get it and not just go, can you play that again, please? And it just, after like learning it and reading it off the screen, like it was giving me like butterflies and feelings, and I was like, oh, it's get me in the feels. And I don't even know the full context of the musical, and just listening to the way that he's written the melody and the lyrics, I was just, that's epic. So I got to watch it.
Mm. No, it sounds, yeah, it's super ambitious, but yeah, again, Kesh is the same. You know, he usually aims pretty high when he goes into stuff. Well, sort of in regards to sort of moving your career forward, do you see yourself sort of doing that in Perth, or would you try and take it overseas?
Before this whole COVID thing set in, my goal was to next year, 2021, to be living in London, auditioning for musicals on the West End. But seeing as we are in a COVID world at the moment, that is going to get pushed back a couple of years, which is fine. Like, a lot of people don't hit their stride as an entertainer in the music theatre industry until their late 20s or 30s. So I've still got time, but it just sucks that I can't get to that point at the moment. So now it's like seeing if I can get back on a ship sometime soon when that all opens back up, or send my show reel to Universal Studios Japan, because they just put out some auditions. And in the meantime, just staying at home, keeping fit, working on my singing, my dancing, and playing, making some music in my pastime.
Yeah. And we're gonna have a chat about your musical as well. You're telling me you're writing a musical. Yeah. Or you had that going as a bit of a side project as well.
Yeah, that was when this all really started to hit up, and it was big old family of 6. You got to figure out something to do, otherwise you're just going to hate each other. So myself and my 2 younger brothers, who are both performers as well, and I thought this would be a great experience to bond and to try and switch their brains into the creativity side of being an artist, because up until then they've just kind of done the shows, sung the songs, did this and that. So I sat them down, I was like, boys, this isn't like some super official thing, but how about, due to this COVID thing, we write a musical? Because I wanna play with Pro Tools and get better at that, and I want you to just not play video games until COVID goes away, which it still hasn't. So we sat down and we like brainstormed, and we were like, you know what, let's just make the topic COVID. So we ended up saying, based on, am I back?
Yep, you're back. Yeah, there was a little bit of a cut out there, but yeah.
Yeah, it was like the basic synopsis of the musical is a guy, man, played by me, obviously, because I'm the leading man. In 2020, he goes into a coma, and then he wakes up in 2025, and the world is basically like post-apocalyptic. Lives in New York City, and there's no one in the streets, and he's just this is like the first song that I wrote ever. And he stumbles out of the hospital as he's just like woken up in a shock, and he's like, what has happened to my city? And he's like panicking, and then he finds out that this disease has gone around the planet and has killed so many people, and this like panicky, like schizophrenic germaphobe, which sings the song that we'll be talking about later, comes up. He approaches, the main character approaches this germaphobe and is like, what happened? And he like freaks out. He tells him about everything. It's like, everyone's gone, everyone's dead, just like stay at home, stay alone, and just like don't touch anyone or breathe. And then the main character goes kind of panic, and then we wrote this thing about like how the villain is his brother who put him into this coma, and the main character turns out is the reason why the disease has like killed most of the population on the planet, and he has this whole revelation, and it was just a bit of fun, really. If I get further down the line and I want to work on it more and turn it into something, then
Fantastic.
I mean, I've got something there. Yeah, it's just a bit of fun.
And you've been doing that with your brothers.
Yeah, so I sat Benjamin in that in a chair, and I was like, all right, you've got to sit there and you've got to write the character descriptions for everything. And then I sat Sebastian there, and I was like, figure out, I don't know, like design a set, like build a set, like the stage, like what movement are we gonna create on stage? Are we gonna have just a static, like just like a little platform at the back with a door, or are we gonna have things moving in and out or whatever? So put him on that little project just to like get their brains working with on something within our industry.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, fun.
So how many songs have you written for that?
2 are finished, and then there's 3 others which are like varying degrees of 25% to like 80% done.
Right.
But I've just like put that on the shelf at the moment because now everything started opening back up and different things. And I've been working with David Wickham, who's a really awesome piano player and vocal coach. He works in like the opera scene, and he works with my vocal teacher as well, and they do small shows. I'm working on a song called Breaking Point. At the moment, it's just piano chords and a little drum line and some lyrics, but it's just about like that point that you get in a journey within your life that you hit that barrier, and that's the moment where you either grow or learn from your journey, or you just plateau and you don't become more. So I just really wanted to write a song about that because I felt like myself, I've had, we've all had many moments like that within our lives where we've had to make a decision to push through that barrier to create the growth for ourselves and not just, ride the waves of life or whatever.
So how do you push through those barriers? Have you got any tools, any routines you do?
just a matter of keep working at it. Like one of those moments was when I was training at APAN. I would always be at the back, like the back lines, and just kind of doing the back dancing and not being really important in my mind to the routine. I really drove to, so this is like dance stuff now. I really drove to learn different tricks and to get stronger as a dancer, to get stronger, to look better, to have a better performance energy. And I just really worked on that. And eventually I hit through that barrier of being stuck at the back all the time. And I started getting featured solos and getting put at the front and doing the partner work with the shorter scale, obviously, because I am not 6 foot. So I only get the tiny people to lift above my head. But once I hit that barrier and I pushed past it and I started getting featured roles, and I just really felt like empowered from the journey that I had. It's just a matter of really beating your head against that barrier, really, to get through it. It's not a matter of like just hoping. You just gotta push. Yeah.
Like hard work sort of gets you places instead of just trying to rely on luck, I suppose. Yeah. There's another thing I wrote down here before when you were talking about your songs. You mentioned that you mentioned this to me just before we went live, but you said you've only really written 2 songs or something, or that was the second song that you've ever written. If that's written during lockdown, that's pretty impressive. That's only a couple of months ago. How did that happen? How did you manage to first of all, I suppose, not have written a song for that long, being in the entertainment industry, but then come out of the blue, like find something, I'm gonna write a song?
It was weird. Like those 2 songs, the first one and the second one, happened on a Saturday and then a Sunday. I just sat at my computer for like 6 to 10 hours. And obviously I went to have lunch and stuff, but I just like blasted out those songs because it just came to me like really quickly. Luckily, being a person who can't really play chords very well, like I can play a C chord for you. That's about it. there are tools for these things which us of the less musically inclined can use. So there was this thing called Output Arcade, which was basically like a sample library that I could modify, put in a different key, change the pattern, change the speed, and that's how I really got found a cool library of that cool funky bass sound, which is in the germaphobe funk song. And it was just a matter of like playing and putting things together and chucking things on, and I had like a drum synthesizer and picking like which drums I wanted and what pattern, and just it was just a lot of fun. And the harmony, like the vocals as well, was really nice because I had all the music set out, and I just played the music and just sat there with my eyes closed and just like basically word vomited lyrics and a melody at the same time, and then just settled with whatever I came up with, and I added some harmonies, and yeah, it really helped. Really helped that I had a story with the song. Rather than being like, okay, I'm going to write a pop song that's going to be about love. Not much. It's about a germaphobe. He thinks he's got COVID. He's panicking. Da 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 da. And that all just really created the story of the song.
That's awesome. So you made the music first without having any lyrics. You just had a theme. Is that right?
Yeah. I just had the idea of it's going to be about the schizophrenic germaphobe and what energy that character would have in a song. Like it would be jumping and there'll be accents and it would make you just go, ugh. It wouldn't be like slow and mellow and stuff. I just really wanted to match the music to the energy of the character, and then just jump on the lyrics rather than trying to talk at the same time.
So at the same time, obviously coming from the dance industry as well, do you when you're sort of going through this song, like do you visualize yourself on stage as a part of because you're also like this is a part of your musical and your vision. So do you sort of sit, do you, like you said, you close your eyes, do you just envision how this guy is going to perform on stage, how he's going to move, how he's going to sing the words, how he's going to act it out? Is that, or how does that process work?
So there definitely is a huge chunk of my creative brain that looks at it from a choreographer's perspective, and like a director, like plotting out what I want, especially if it's a song that is within a musical. My brain, the whole time I was creating the lyrics and the music, was like, okay, I'm going to have a dance break here, and there's going to be a dance break here, and I'm going to have the main character moving from there to there, and then that moment in the vocals is going to be an accent for him to change directions, and the backing characters are going to crisscross and do all this. And really, the whole time I was creating the song itself, I was also creating like the whole production of the piece. Like I even had costumes going through my head, the set, the lighting.
Wow.
All the while I was just putting down the music, the lyrics. My brain was full on like creating the show of the song, which is what I think really helped me make it so fast.
But so how, like, do you just write all this down, like in regards to how you visualize it, or is that just stored in your brain?
That's all in my brain. Like all of that extra stuff. Obviously, I have a Word document which has all my lyrics of every song ever. It's getting quite big now. I should probably separate them into different songs, but at the moment it's just one document. But all of that choreography and costume and stuff, that just stays. Like the song is like a trigger for all of that to resurface. Like, so I'll play the song and all of a sudden my brain will go, yeah, that's right, I had the costume like this and this was the blocking. And so I didn't really need to put it down because it's through creating the song and thinking about it at the same time, like the costumes and the blocking and the dancing, it's just so ingrained in the way I view that song.
Wow,
if that makes sense.
No, that's so fascinating. That is. So, but how will you eventually decompress all this to be able to show that to someone else? Because you'd have to do that eventually.
So luckily enough, that song was designed to have 3 characters. So you'd have the main character, which will be played by my youngest brother. We've decided that that's his character. and then myself and my other brother, we were going to play the Germs. So when you hear the song and you have that 2-part harmony, which is like really like clear and like together and doesn't separate, it's like figments of his imagination, like what he imagines as germs being if they were people, I guess, coming in and like singing to him and dancing around him and dancing with him. And we actually blocked out the entire song. And the plan was to like record it and produce it and chuck it up on the Facebooks or whatever, but I ended up just doing the audio because they were being a bit lazy. So I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna make a little image and post it on my socials to be like, look, listen guys, I made a song. But we did end up blocking out the whole song, and it was super fun coming up with like little choreography and like thinking, if a germ was a person, how would it dance? How would it move? Because like the random thing that goes through your head, like you wouldn't just think that in normal day, like cooking dinner or whatever, go like, if germs were people, how would they dance? Like you don't think that in normal life.
Oh, like, that's good.
Do you think, okay, if these characters are German, how does it dance?
Oh man, that's awesome, man. But again, I suppose that is again the mind of a creative person. You know, sometimes stuff just happens and it just unravels. It was the same again. You know, as just coming back to our friend Kashed. Yeah, but when I spoke to him the first time, he was talking about how he had this idea for his new opera, his new musical. It was literally he just said he had a dream and he woke up and he just wrote everything down. But it's so fascinating to hear how you're saying that you had this song, and by the time you hear the song, it just rolls out the whole production layout with like costumes and lights. And so what's going to happen here? So you have all this idea in your head. You're doing this with your brothers. You're writing the story. You're composing the songs. How can you progress this further?
I mean, the musical itself is a bit on a hiatus at the moment because I'm just not feeling inspired to work on it. But to have it finished, the goal is to just work on the songs and just have the songs from the overture, which I already have a kind of idea on how to do that, to the finale. Like I have a basic idea of the flow of the show. Like, you know, the conflict at the end of Act 1, how Act 2 starts. My jaw. How the changes in characters from Act 1 to Act 2, like the main character, how he goes from, who he is in the Act 1 to Act 2, and just all of that's kind of in my head. But I think it's just a matter of trying to figure out all the music. But then again, it's really hard because I don't have a musician's background of being able to put all the parts down on the stave and have it all written out, give it to someone to be like, sing these notes, I'll play it for you. It's so oral. Like, jumping to a different song, not related to the musical, there's this song that I really, really like from American Psycho, the musical. It's called I Am Back, and it doesn't have a backing track on the internet at all. I've looked so much to find this, so I was like, okay, doesn't have one. I have these tools that I can use. So I downloaded the sheet music. I downloaded, it's this program that turns sheet music into MIDI, like MIDI audio. I grabbed that from Pro Tools. I separated the melody and the chords into 2 different tracks and had put some instruments on it, added a drum beat underneath. And I've used that for auditions in the past where they require a track rather than like sheet music. And then I decided, you know what, I want to make a recording of it and put the harmonies in as well. And the sheet music that I have doesn't have the harmonies on it. So I sat there for like a good 2 hours, like listening to the YouTube video and just going, that's the high harmony, and then going to the Pro Tools and recording the high harmony, and then listening for the mids, and then listening for the bass, and then chucking all that on. It's really weird listening to just yourself harmonize. I mean, obviously you hear like pop singers and stuff that have their songs. It's obviously them do back vocals, but it's really weird like listening to just you, but singing 5 different things at once. It's very funny.
But it's at the same time, like it's something that you get, or you can get good at quite fast, because again, if you know your own voice, if you know how you can operate your voice, then you just got to get comfortable having to sing on top of yourself.
Yeah.
But I suppose, like, in regards to what you're saying in, like with having to do the music part of it, it's fairly easy. Like, there's so many musicians out there who, if you can just sort of hum or no, like give them the melody, they would quite easily be able to transcribe that and make music for your melodies or for your songs. So it would be quite easy for you to collaborate with people that way, and then obviously probably got to pay them for the effort. But that would be a way for you to probably accelerate the music part. You know, something that you mentioned that you lack at the moment, and then you can focus on the stuff you're good at, which again is like sort of setting up the production and obviously finishing like writing it all.
Yeah. That's definitely something I've considered, collaborating with someone who actually knows what they're doing when it comes to writing music. But if I were to do that, I'd really want it to be done where the musical is at a point where it's like almost finished. Like, I've had all the songs written, I've got the script down, I've got my ideas for all the music, and I just then take it to a musician and be like, okay, I have all these tracks recorded, and I want to turn them into sheet music and construct it in a way which can be like given to a cast member and then be learnt and all that kind of stuff, or given to a band and they can learn the drum line, or they can learn whatever the bass is doing at that point. Like, yeah. That's the point I want to get to when I start collaborating with someone. It's like almost finished, I guess.
Mm. Well, you could probably, I don't know, are you familiar with the website Fiverr?
I've heard about it.
Because that is, I've used that a lot in the past. It's pretty much freelancers in all industries you can think of, but freelancers from all over the world. That would be, if you need a website, if you need, like if you need a song, if you need someone to help you write a CV, it's like a resume or something. So there would be people somewhere that are happy to help making chords for your melodies, for instance, for probably like peanuts, like I'm guessing here, like $10 or something. But that again would give you a foundation. That would give you a sort of starting point. So you have something where you can say, oh, okay, look, this melody works well. Here's some chords to fit underneath. And then you can fine tune it from there. By the time you're ready, you can then go out and actually give that to some, real musicians, like someone you can collaborate with in person, if you know what I mean. So that might be an idea for you, like something to look into, because it's a very inexpensive way of getting something done. You know what I mean? Yep. And that way you can focus on the actual like finishing it and writing the last bits and pieces of it.
Yeah, fair enough. No, yeah, I definitely might look into that actually. Fiverr. Yeah, because I watched videos like, I paid an artist on Fiverr $5 to redraw my painting or whatever.
Exactly, exactly, and that is what it is. So it's $5, so it's like what $7.50 or something Australian. Yeah. But yeah, look, I've used it a lot. You can use it for literally anything you can think of that you can outsource. So again, it's an extremely, and they're not the only one. Like, there's lots of other websites doing this, but Fiverr is probably the most famous one, I suppose, and the biggest. But anything you can think of, when you say time is money, sometimes your time is well better spent given to someone else, and then you pay them for it.
Is that their advertising line? Because you should let them know that.
Yeah. So I've got another question here, which we've sort of kind of covered it all some of it already, but the future of Nicolas Cruse, right. What does that look like? So you mentioned like your goals at some stage, like you want to be something that that you could be an inspiration for the future generations and stuff. But have you got any sort of specific, sort of more specific goals, and if so, ways to achieve them?
Okay. Well, the way that life is going at the moment, the next step for me would definitely be to be doing something like an extended contract to make some money to do the step after that. So something along the lines of working on a ship or working in a theme park for like a 10-month contract. Just do more, world traveling and to get out there again and just really get back into working. And to save up enough money to get the visas to move to London, because myself and my family, we made friends with this couple that lives just outside of London, and they've offered me a spare room. So,
oh wow!
I mean, that's I've already basically got a place to live in London, which is pretty cool. So I want to get there, start getting in the circuit of London entertainers. So go to places like Pineapple Studios, do dance classes, try and probably get a vocal coach, and try and do auditions like every week, and just get into that cycle, and probably get a job down at a coffee shop or something just to get a little bit of money income in the meantime between having gigs, and eventually just start getting into shows on the West End and start building up my portfolio. And of course, all at the same time as that, working on the music production side of like music production, because I've really started to enjoy that, like sitting down and creating something original, because original things is super fun.
And are you talking about your Pro Tools sessions?
Yes.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
I've started to enjoy that a lot, which is great.
So YouTube has been your friend, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I've been like, okay, I'm going to put a new track in, and all of a sudden, oh, it's grey. Be like, that's fun. YouTube help. And then it's like, oh, it's because this plugin is not working or something like that. So I have to go in and fix some things in the program. So YouTube is very nice, and I have learnt a lot of different things, like what is LFO and how to EQ, and gotten a really big respect for like sound engineers who work on my voice when I'm doing a show. Like you see their big board like at the back facing the theater, all these big dials and stuff. You're like, I don't know what that does, and then you realize like leveling it and changing how much parts of your voice they boost and how much they soften to make you sound as great as possible and mix well with the other singers. Like working on my own stuff within Pro Tools has really helped me respect sound engineers and music producers as well.
And it is, I think it's a very important thing as an artist as well to sort of diversify yourself and again have, as you were saying, have that respect and knowledge of other parts of the full production. So yeah, that's definitely a good trade, or a good opportunity for you to again, to broaden your horizon. And it's such a valuable tool as well to be able to produce, audio, especially if you want to write a musical.
Yeah, that's one of those long-term goals of eventually just being a creative, like putting a show together, even if it's not just a musical, like creating a concert or something like that. Once I got to the point where I'm like, I can no longer walk properly without assistance or something like that, like getting to the point where I just have all this knowledge from my time in the industry to be able to create new works, whatever that is, like that would be super fun.
Yeah, actually, I spoke a couple of weeks ago. I spoke to a guy, actually a Danish guy, but he was studying. He graduated from a theater school in London. I might be able to put you in contact with him. He would definitely know people in London in the theater part of it. And I'm pretty sure he's keen to broaden his horizon too. So I don't know, maybe you guys can help each other out that way. Cause yeah, he lived in London for a couple of years, obviously, because he was studying there on the academy. But in regards to just if we are sort of trying to round this off a bit, I'm curious also to hear about if you have any sort of tips and tricks that you would like to sort of, because it sounds like you have done an insane amount of experience in a very, very short time, sort of with everything that you have sort of seen and done in the last couple of years, working on a cruise ship and even on local productions as well. So is there anything you've done in that amount of time that sort of stands out and say, yeah, this here is really good. This is a tip that I would like to pass on to someone else who might be looking at doing what you're doing?
Yeah, well, obviously a lot of my tips would be with regards to cruise ships, because that's the majority of my experience. So I would definitely say, as a performer, the best thing you can do is to, it's kind of contradictory, but the best thing you can do is to be able to stand out whilst also fitting within the show that you're doing. So it's something that I've felt has really helped me through my career and really helped me get presence on stage and get noticed, is to be able to take what you've given as a performer, right? They give you that dance routine or that song, and you do it the way the way that you're directed, but you also add your personality to it. Because there's a difference between singing that song to the audience and singing that song to the audience as yourself. So I guess a tip from myself to aspiring performers would be to really, really figure out a way to incorporate your personality and what makes you unique into your performance, into your art, because that's how people will connect with what you're doing. Because, I mean, there's a reason why our industry, there is no way you can replace it with robots, because it's the people that make our industry what it is. It's people's minds and hearts and souls, and what they bring to what we do is really what makes this industry stand out above others. Because a robot can punch numbers, a robot can make a car. I mean, they do now. But there is no way that the humanity can be replaced in what we do. So I would say, make sure that you are bringing yourself to the table.
That's very, very true. How do you bring Nicolas to the table? What's your uniqueness?
I would definitely say it's being a bit more energetic than the other people on stage. And I like, as a performer, I like the audience taking something away from what I've done. So if I can make that one person laugh or make that one person go, ooh, or anything like that, like what I bring for myself to the stage is, I don't know, just my energy. If I can make someone leave more energetic than they came in, that I feel like I've brought myself to the stage. If I can make them feel something or go, wow, that was great, I'm going to just smile for the rest of the day or something like that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, again, absolutely. Like you want to go in and you want to give it your 110%.
Yeah.
But again, like based on some of the clips that we saw in the beginning, and obviously people can go back and have a look at your other stuff on your YouTube channel. We'll get back to that as well. We can name drop all your socials, but yeah, you have some quite cool stuff on there. Sort of given like all the edits, all the different shows that you've done. I also have here, so I can see our friend Cachette has written here if he can hear a sample from your musical, and we're going to finish off on that shortly here again. Actually, if there's anyone else who's got a couple of questions, feel free to fire away now. We'll get back to that shortly. Again, one of the other questions I want to ask you here, just on the before we wrap it up, if there was anything you could sort of, is anything if you could go back and sort of go back 5 years or something and change anything, or sort of anything you would have done different in your experience?
Well, if I was to go back, it would definitely be further than just 5 years.
Right. Okay.
I would definitely, I would definitely want to go back to my younger self and say, sit in your splits all day, please, please. Just, just making sure that my younger self, the flexibility on the body when you're trying to dance, and the choreographer's like, kick a leg, and you're like, physically cannot. So that's what I tell my younger self as a dancer. But as a singer, I would probably tell my younger self to listen to more music. Because when I was younger, I really didn't listen to much music, like many different variations. Like my best friend that I met on cruise ships, Jared, he's very much a music lover, and he'd be playing all these songs and be like, oh, I love this song, and I'd be like, I don't know what that one. And he basically turned to me and go, you suck. So listen to music and listen to as much as you can, just to get involved in the music world, because there's a lot of great things out there that young me really should have listened to.
Well, it's never too late to catch up on that. Like again, and that is again, it's so accessible these days. And I'm assuming again, especially if you're saying you wouldn't mind going back on a cruise ship, they'll give you plenty of time to catch up with a lot of music. And that's again super easy to download. You can have that on your phone or your laptop and stuff, and go through.
Yeah.
What sort of music though would you be listening to? Have you sort of grown? Because you mentioned before that you were listening to a lot of like club music and Robert Williams. But is there any other sort of genres that you'd be sort of interested in, or that you do like?
Over my time of like listening to music and singing things, I've just like kind of picked out particular bands within different genres. Like off the top of my head, one of my dad's favorite and a band that I really love as well is Jamiroquai. And then I also love listening to Adam Lambert. Oh, I wish I could sing like that man. And just like there's like random artists and random songs that I've just picked out that I've just heard, and people have been like, "Oh, this song is cool." So I've just found that song and it's been really entertaining. Like I don't know if I have a favorite genre to listen to.
Or a couple of or maybe So again, like a couple of favorite bands or something that you like to get into. Because obviously before when you're saying that you feel like you didn't listen to enough music. So what is it that you think that you were missing out on? If that makes sense, like because there's so much so much music.
Oh, there is insane amount. I guess I would say I was missing out on different genres, because when I was younger, the only music I was exposing myself to was the song I was singing at my little dance school at the time. So say in singing class, we were singing Don't Stop Believing, for example, because everyone sings that. I would learn of that song that week, and the next week it would be a song by Britney Spears, or then in my musical theatre class we'd sing one song for a musical. So each week I just learned two brand new songs, but I wouldn't. What I should have done is like go to the shops and buy a brand new album by some band and just like put it in the machine and listen to it. Like, music. But instead I was just like letting the music get fed to me in small amounts.
Yeah, so you would listen to the songs that got given to you because you had to learn them.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Because I had to listen to the music, not because I necessarily wanted to.
Gotcha.
Which
okay.
Don't do that.
Yeah. I suppose again, there's nothing wrong with that, but yeah, I understand. Yeah, that it gets sort of spoon fed to you rather than you getting sort of exposed, or you throwing yourself out there and get a little bit more curious, I suppose, like to see what other songs is out there.
Yeah,
you mentioned Adam Lambert before. A couple of weeks ago, me and my wife watched there's a really, really cool documentary on Netflix about him and how he got discovered by Queen and got that gig. I don't know if you've seen it, but that's actually super, super cool and see how he managed to get in
I
there.
watched that too. I really enjoyed like seeing his story and like I drew a few like similarities between the way he grew up, like what he did as a young child, and where he is. Obviously, where he is now is a bit different where I am. We actually watched Queen when they came here. Myself and my dad, it was his Christmas present. We went and watched Queen when they were in Perth. That was incredible. To find a man, a singer who could step in, perform what Freddie Mercury performed when he was still alive, and to be able to now all of those songs takes incredible talent, and I just respect the man so much for what he can do with that music and what he does with his songs as well. Like the first song I heard of his was Ghost Town, and he belted.
Yeah, and that was actually one of his like he'd done a lot of songs before that. He released that while he was in Queen. So
yeah, that was definitely his moment where everyone was like, "Oh, who's this guy?" You know?
But yeah, no, it's crazy. I took my 6-year-old son to see Queen as well, and he was like, "Oh wow, I thought Freddie Mercury was dead." I said, "Oh yeah, well, this guy." He's amazing. Like his voice, and again, as you're saying, like his performance on stage, like how he's not Freddie, but he's Adam. Like he's not supposed to be Freddie, but he's so good. Again, he brings what you were talking about before. He brings his uniqueness to it.
Yeah, because especially there, you can definitely see what makes him unique. Because no matter how hard you try, you do compare him to Freddie. And you can see the differences between the way that they perform those songs, and you can see that is Adam Lambert in his true performance, his true form. Like, and it's just great. We were sitting pretty decently far back, and even not just looking at the screen, I could see the tiny little Adam, and I was like, I can still see that he's working his butt off without looking at the screen.
Yeah. Nah, it's it was a fantastic concert, that one. I actually went to the first one as well. That was like 6 years ago or 5 years ago, whenever they came to Perth, the first time on the Adam Lambert tour. But yeah, the last show was amazing, and how like their whole production as well, how they got all the laser gear and the big screen in the background, and all his costumes as well. It's fantastic.
So many spikes. Like,
I'm
sure he's poked one too many costumes. Like people putting costumes on for him. I'm sure he's poked way too many people.
But it's super awesome show. So if you haven't seen you had seen the documentary?
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's really cool show. Awesome. Look, let us try and wrap it up. Can you just give me first of all, because you obviously you have to tell us about or you have to introduce the Germ song, so at least so Kesh knows what it's all about. But also, can you tell people where they can sort of keep up to track on your progress? So you got a couple of social media pages.
Yeah, well, I obviously have my Facebook page, which is my name, Nicolas Cruse. No I in the Cruse. Sorry, I'm not related to Tom. And then there's my Instagram page, which is nicholas.cruse. I also have a website, which is www.nicholascruseperformer.com.au.
Cool.
Get the .au. And that's pretty much the important ones you need to see. So yeah, just I occasionally post new things onto those different media forms.
So sort of like the main place, if people wanted to sort of keep on track on what you're doing, would that be Instagram or YouTube or where?
I'd say
have
Instagram.
You got a primary? Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So tell us about this song. So because you have mentioned a bit about it, how it's this guy who wakes up and stuff. But how did this song? So we're going to finish off on the funk song now. So tell us a little bit about how. Actually, let me ask you something about this song. How did you come up with this music part for it? Because you mentioned you had to sort of learn the whole Pro Tools thing, and you had to learn your little keyboard. So how did you create this song?
Okay, so I just pretty much the day before when I made the first song, I downloaded this thing called Output Arcade, which is like a repository of like samples. So it has samples of different styles and genres. And I was just like scrolling through it, being like, oh, what would be cool for the next song? And I found this one called what was it? It was like Funky Bass or something like that. And it was just a bunch of different like pretty much right. I would just press escape, and it would play a funky bass. It was that easy. And then I picked a bunch of those that I liked. And I was like, okay, this one and this one is for the verse. This one and this one's for the chorus. This one's for the bridge, and this one will fade out the end. I was like, okay, that's my bass guitar. And then I picked the drum kit, and then I added a few extra like effects and stuff. And then I was like, okay, and then we move on to adding the lyrics and just it was fun. It was fun to work on it. I mean, it kind of felt like cheating, but I feel like I was the only one who would have used that in that way. So then again, it was still using. I still had my own unique stamp on the
For sure.
The sample.
For sure, and that's again like a lot of music, if not most music these days, are created in that way. So man, look, it's also, and again, look, as you, I think you have that in your description on the YouTube video for this particular song as well, saying that it is work in progress. Look, it's like a demo version of the song. It still gives you like a very accurate picture of what this song is going to sound like. You know, if you ever were to have it recorded with real people one day.
This fake person over here. Don't listen to this fake. But
now it's a wicked song. Like I said, I was super impressed when I heard it, and when you then told me that this was your second song, I was like, what? Like, how can this be your second song you ever made? That's phenomenal.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was just surprising that I made it, and I listened back to it once it was finished, and usually when I'd like finish like a little project and I'm like, family, come in, listen. And then I was like, put the headphones on. It sounds better on the headphones. And they listen to it and they go, oh, like they're expecting it to suck. But they're like, that's actually surprisingly entertaining. And Dad likes like bobbing along and tapping his foot. And then Mum's like, what are you using this for? Is this going to be for a show? Am I going to watch my sons do this? And this is all the different reactions from my family members listening to it. It's kind of cool to like.
Oh, you should have filmed that.
Oh, I probably should have had like a little camera and just be like, record. Let's get their reaction.
Yeah, a little GoPro in the corner. Just put up a reaction video on the YouTube channel. So that would be awesome, man. Fantastic. Actually, I can see. No, sorry, I gotta ask you this last question here because I know when I sent you a couple of questions before we started, you asked me if I could sort of. If I was going to go through it. And this one here, I suppose, is really, really good for you as well. That is how to make it in the music or the entertainment industry this day and age.
Right. My position on that, like my opinion on how that works.
Yeah. Your own opinion on that.
Right. I think the best thing about how you can make it in the industry really is to be as proactive as possible. Because, thanks, Kesh. He's commented me all the hair. I would say being proactive because I have a lot of friends who I graduated from my training academy with, and they just kind of didn't do anything because I would always come back from a contract and be like, have you made your show reel yet? Have you submitted yourself to these different things and stuff? They're like, no, I'll get on it. I'll do that later. And then that just gets into a cycle of not putting themselves out there because I know a lot of people, especially in Perth, are super scared of just putting their name out there and just sending their reel to a bunch of different work opportunities because they're like, I don't want to be judged. It's like, I hate to say it, but in this industry, the first part of it is the auditions. The first part of your job is to be judged.
Yeah.
Is to have a panel of people sit there and go, yeah, they're not the right person, or thank you, you were great, but you're not what we're looking for. And then eventually get those people going, oh, that was amazing, great, yeah, we'll keep in contact with you, and you get that email, and then they'll be like, oh, you're amazing, come work with us. Like, that's what you're aiming for. But before that, a big chunk of the job is just rejection, and you've just got to accept that you're going to have a lot of people turn you away, and just keep going, keep pushing forwards.
Keep pushing forwards.
Keep swimming.
That's it. The good final words to say. Just push forward and keep swimming. Yep. Fantastic, Nicolas. Look, it's been awesome hearing your stories.
So much fun. It's been a great experience. Never really chatted on a podcast before, so it's been great.
No, and again, sort of sit here and have a conversation with a complete stranger for nearly 2 hours over a webcam, huh? How good is that?
I've never done that before.
Awesome, man. But look, man, I wish you all the best, and I look forward to sort of following your adventures in the future. And I really hope you will become an inspiration for the future generation.
Thanks. That is the goal for the end. Just.
Fantastic. I'm gonna put on your germaphobe funk now, and I'll look forward to talking to you soon, Nicolas.
Of course.
Enjoy the rest of the evening. You're welcome.
You too.
Cheers.
Thanks so much for tuning in or listening along to the show. If you like the show, please don't forget to leave a 5-star review and subscribe to my social channels. It doesn't cost you anything, but it greatly helps me to build my networks and my chances of getting sponsors to keep this show running. If you want to take it to the next level, please head over to patreon.com/Stephen Helhammer and become a patron by joining the exclusive community there. You can start from as little as $3 per month. And for just a little extra, you get access to some fantastic features, outtakes, behind the scenes stuff, and much, much more. That's less than the cost of a cup of coffee per month. And that way you can help me build better content. I can devote more time to find awesome guests and just generally just keep everything flowing. If you want to be on the show or subscribe to my mailing list, send an email to steven@helhammer.com, and that is HELhammer.com. That way I can start sending you exclusive invites, random stuff, and messages that, who knows, you might enjoy. So that's it. Have a rocking day ahead, guys, and I will see you on the live stream or in your headphones very soon. Take it easy.